Toss me to Bermuda. It's time for the Mad Merlins unboxing of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium, Delivery 13 and Special 2. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Mad Merlins unboxing. Today, as you guessed, it's Delivery 13 of Imperium and we have our second special, a set of 2 novellas. So, we'll bring in this rather massive bag. I have already opened it to take out any documents with my name and address on, so that won't get revealed by accident. But here we go, let's tip it out and see what we get. Smash. But we are here. It is a literal treasure trove of magazines. So, if I just readjust a bit. There we go. So, we have issue 47, a double paint issue, Wild Rider Red and Pink Horror. I've luckily, I've actually just recently run out of Pink Horror, so it's good to have a new one. That's the books. 48 with our final ruins. So that's that one. I am still waiting a delivery of red spray, so I might have to paint that one either later on or the old-fashioned way. So next up though we have, I'm knocking Mini Merlin everywhere, the issue I've been looking forward to the most, issue 49, which sees a nice lot of new Sisters of Battle models. And there we have one chocolate block frame, and we actually have a full set of 3 flying stands, which gives us more than enough that we actually need, so that's not too bad. And finally, another awesome issue, issue 50, which comes with the Royal Court. We get our biggest Necron models yet, the Reanimator, the Scorpec Destroyer Lord, then we also get another Technomancer. This one's the Plasmancer with 2 Bodyguard Crypto Thralls. And there they are, we'll have a look at those in a bit. And we also have this rather, I quite like it, snazzy looking slipcase. We got Imperium, Hachette Partworks, Warhammer on the side, Imperium again, and then we have the titles. So we've got Bones of the Martyr and Kalmar's Skull, both by Tom Horth. And we got beautiful set of books there, one red, one green. I'm guessing that's going to be a Sisters of Battle focus story, The Bones of the Martyr, and Kalmar's Mask. Probably going to be Necrons by the look of the green. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So, we'll start at the beginning with the paint issue. We'll go through all the different issues as usual, having a quick look through the magazines, looking at the frames, before I give my final thoughts on this delivery. Oh, and a look at our special as well. So I'll just readjust the camera again for overhead view, and we'll have a quick look at 47. So here we have issue 47, and it's our paint issue for the delivery. So we got a couple of paints, Pink Horror and Wild Rider Red. We learn about the Talons of the Emperor. We have more faction rules, so you get the Sororitas, and yet again another exciting new battle. So there's our paints. We've got Wild Rider Red, which is a nice orangey red, nice light red. It does highlight really well over cloaks and capes, really good on the Mephiston red areas. And Pink Horror, perfect for highlighting your purity seals, which we'll be doing once we get through to the paint guide. So here we have our issue. So we have our data records for our units that we didn't get last issue, which was the Repentia and the Arcoflagellants. So we got those. We name each of our different 4 Repentia within the unit, and we got a sin chart. I'm going a bit too much into detail on this. It's supposed to be just a quick flip through, but I like to lavish a bit of attention on these. So next up we've got the Arco-Flagellants, and again their name, the old D6 chart here of what they used to be known as, and then their sin. So rules background, we got Adeptus Sororitas, Sisters of the Priory, so more background on our sister units, all different squads. We got a Talons of the Emperor short story. Is it? No, it's a faction blurb on the Adeptus Custodes and the Sisters of Silence. So that's quite nice, and all the different war gear they have. And now we've got a story. So we do have a story featuring the Talons of the Emperor versus a Genestealer cult, so Children of the Worm. We have a war zone for Lavenir, featuring the Eldar versus High Fleet Leviathan. And then we're on to our paint guide. So much like we suspected, all our Scream of Pink areas are getting highlighted with pink horror. All our red cloth is being highlighted with Wild Rider Red. And that's pretty much it. So not a lot that's actually getting done in this issue. Just minor details on sergeants and characters. We have our official rules for the Shield of Faith and Zealot rules for our Sisters of Battle. Data sheets for our Repentia and Arco-Flagellants. And Leading the Faithful. So we've got another Sisters of Battle focus mission, facing off against the Royal Warden there. I'm going to flip those over. Next up, issue 48. So in this issue we get our final ruin. So this is the larger of the two halves of the ruin, with the battered in door, the large side wear and the two flooring sections, plus these smaller separate ruin. So just the same as what we've seen in previous issues, but it is still a rather nice piece of kit, loads of detail, and I can't wait to paint this in red. So in 48, we learn about the Dark Angels, Secrets of the Apothecaries, and we have the Acts of Faith rules. So we got a new battle record. This time is our mission roster for our Sisters of Battle. So we got the name generator for our Sororitas forces there. Then we write the name of all our commanders, including our superiors and the leaders of certain units. So the Dark Angels, the Sons of the Lion, First Legion, the Fallen, their greatest secret, and probably one of my favourite 40k characters, Mr. Cypher. They have two specialist forces, the Deathwing and the Ravenwing. So learn all about the different apothecaries within the Space Marines. You've got the Tome Keepers there, which is quite nice. So the Prime Helix, I always used to call it the Corpus Helix, but the Prime Helix, which is the symbol of the Apothecarian. They carry a Narfessium and a power pack with various tools on. Background about the Imperial Creed. Short, bit more about the penitent engines of the Adeptus Sororitas. Giant machines, wrestling with chainsaws, flamers, and carrying a heretic who is trying to atone for his sins. Then we got the different other types of penitent units, so Repentia, Arco-Flagellants, penitent engines, and the Mortifiers. Then we're learning how to build our terrain and paint it to match our previous one, but I'll be doing my slightly reversed colour scheme, painting it like my other ruin. Looking good so far. So now we have rules for our Act of Faith. So we're getting miracle dice. Performing your Act of Faith, so you can choose different types of Act of Faith. We'll go into more on that in our full magazine in-depth. So write down on here our miracle dice tally chart, where you want to put your important dice. And then we got Crypt Deck Machinations, so the sisters face off against the Technomancers. Okay, this is the one I'm quite looking forward to opening, as I mentioned earlier. So 49, we get loads of new Adeptus Sororitas models, 10 in total, new data sheets, and a new narrative mission. So we have a lot of bases in this issue. We got 50mm for our Penitent engine. We've got loads of 32s for our various battle system models. Got 6 of those. 125 for our Arcoflagellant, and 2 28s for our Repentiers. And a set of flying stands to go with our Seraphim Superior. So there's our frame. It is literally jam-packed. I know I say this for a lot of frames, but there is so much on this frame. And you even get leftovers, as each model that has a head option has 2 different head options. And it is really oozing with some amazing detail. We got some optional base pieces here. We've got a dead heretic that the Flamer Sister is standing on top of. We've got the buzzsaws and flamers, the twin heavy flamers for the Penitent engine there. And I really can't wait to build and paint that guy. It is one model that I really wanted to paint when I first had this sprue back when they released the launch box. But I lost a lot of interest in it and ended up selling. But this time is going to be different. I'm looking forward to building and painting this slot. And the magazine is pretty good. Word of caution, this little piece here is fairly delicate. I believe mine did break when I cut it off the frame the first time around. So take care cutting this out. It is a fairly optional piece, so you could leave it off if you so wished. So let's take a look inside our issue. Ooh, wow, we got a fold out. That's actually a mission. Nice. Wow, okay, so here we go with 49. So we got our battle record for our Penitent engine and our Repentier Superior. So we've got the Penitent's name, the crime, and path of redemption. So every time you complete this particular redemption, you take it off, and after that he gets out. It's like a prison sentence, but murder is the reward. Our battle record for our sister. So we've got her name, her titles, name of the whip, and her bolt pistol. And we got our build guide. So this is going to be a pretty in-depth build guide. Pay close attention as you are building them. Don't get your bases mulled up. There's a handy guide at the bottom there for you. So we got our Superior. I'll be doing the same as I did last time. So glue the flying stand to the backpack and leave that separate. And then build up, and then paint her as an individual component. All the battle sisters, I'll be leaving their backpacks loose to get in behind detail, but other than that, building them up pretty much as is. Might leave the bolt gun arm loose on the banner bearer. But other than that, I will be building every model fully. Then we have our Repentier and Mistress and her 2 Repentiers. So we got this one here with the giant chains on. So this bit is optional but very fiddly, so you can leave it off if you want. And it's nice to have one Repentier in this pose, as my favourite of the old metal models was one of the chainsword way up high, ready to bring down. Then we got our Arcoflagellant, only a quick little build, 3 components, and he's done. Then building our Penitent engine, so this is a little bit more in-depth. We've got to glue the 2 halves of the actual Penitent himself together, then hook over the hip joints and fold up and glue into place. Then put the front of the sarcophagus on. Then we make his legs and glue on his arms. and that'll be him finished. So this is the one bit I'm looking forward to seeing, how we're going to deal with all the new stuff we have to paint. So we got lots of details. So we're going to go with corn red on the inside of the cloak and on our roasted heretic. Mephisto red on the outside. Mornfang brown on the wood and leathers. Lead Belcher on the silver. Corax white on all our white details, including the candles on the simulacrum. Screamer pink on purity seals and the inside of the simulacrum. Rakoff flesh on the bones and any parchment. And Corax white on the rubble as well, don't forget. Then we're putting Agrax Earthshade over the rubble. Acrylic blue on the plasma coils. Non-oil over pretty much everything. Then we're picking out Retributor armor details. Then we're painting Reichland flesh shade over the skin and all the gold. Edge highlighting of Stormhost silver, pink horror, and highlighting the outer robes with Wild Rider red. Dry brushing the corpse with Abaddon black. And we've got quick paint guides for our Repentia and Archiflagellant. So paint them white, paint them gold, wash Reichland flesh shade, pick out your silvers, pick out your black bodysuits, pick out any red details, etc. Pick out your pure parchment, shading of Agrax Earthshade and non-oil, picking out the hair, dry brushing the chains of Stormhost silver, and all the other details, edge highlighting the details on the chainswords. Now picking out cables and purity seals with the new paints we got in this delivery. And here we have the most interesting one to me to paint is the Pentium engine. So lead belcher as I thought it would be, then wash it all over non-oil. So I'll be actually priming mine in lead belcher. That skips one step at least. Then we're picking out all the gold details, then giving it a wash of Reichland flesh shade, dry brushing the entire model with Stormhost silver, picking out the skin with Corax white, then Reichland flesh shade, his trousers in Macragge blue, the fuel tanks in red, and all the cables on his head in red. Purity seals with Screamer pink, washing non-oil on the fuel tanks and the purity seals. Rakoff flesh on the parchment, then shading Agrax Earthshade, picking out pink horror and Wild Rider. Then all models get the base of Astrogranite and non-oil. And there we have a rather awesome looking set of completed models. Rules wise, we've only got the one sheet for our data sheet, which is our Repentia Superior and the Penitent Engine. On the back we've got some more action objectives, so cut these out. I will be gluing these to my spare set of objectives from issue 1. They'll be double-sided now. We've got these different ones. So I'll have one clear set and one special action set. So this is going to be quite interesting. We've actually got a fold-out mission. Oh, wow. So yeah, this is what I saw online. We are using 3 battlefield mats now, and we got pretty huge forces. So Canoness, 7 Battle Sisters, 3 Seraphim, 1 Superior Repentia, 3 Repentias, 2 Archiflagellants, Penitent Engine, Captain, Lieutenant, Librarian, Aggressors, 8 Assault Intercessors, and 3 Aggressors. Whew, getting tongue-tied. Then the Necrons, Overlord, Royal Warden, Chronomancer, Technomancer, 2 squads of 10 Warriors, 5 Mortals, a Tombblade, 3 Scorpion Destroyers and Plasmacite, 5 Flayed Ones, Canoptic Spider, Scarab Swarms, and Canoptic Wraith. Whew. I am probably going to have a bit of a tidy up down in my kitchen/studio, because I'm going to have to put this slot on the floor. My table is not going to do. I can just about fit 2 mats on there. So I think if all future issues are going to be like this, that's going to be quite cool, but I don't know. We've got some nice little details on the back of all the different units, etc. This video is getting long, so let's move on. So we've got issue 50. So we've got the Royal Court, building and painting our new models, and sending them into battle. So we've got 2 of these, I think they're 80mm hex hole bases. So one for the Reanimator, one for the Scorpic Lord. Then we've got, there it is, 3 of these hex hole bases, 32 mils for our Plasmancer and his Crypto Thralls. And here's our frame. It looks pretty good, and I've had these models before, and they are pretty good. I can vouch for that. So the Plasmancer might be a little difficult for some of you younger people. He's a fairly fiddly model, especially the way he floats on his tassels here. So he's pretty delicate. The Scorpic Lord is going to be a fun job to paint. He is pretty chunky. I will suggest leaving the guns off, and possibly pretty much leave all his arms off, because the last time I did it, I glued everything on and it was kind of a pain to reach certain details. Definitely leave his gun arm and his giant glaive here off. You can probably get away with the claw, as it's a fairly open access component. But these models are fantastic, and for the price of £8.99, well worth it, because this kit is £70, £70 for 5 models. Wow, that is pretty pricey buying it brand new, but for this price it is well worth diving in and getting maybe 2. The Reanimators aren't the best, but they do help your warriors survive a little longer. Scorpic Lord he's just going to do the same as the Scorpic Destroyers do, but a lot better. Just chop through pretty much everything and anything in his path. Plasmancer's not the best, though he does chuck out a good lot of mortal wounds if you can keep him alive. And the Crypto Thralls are basically just some extra wounds for your Technomancers. Or any Mancer, really. So, quick flick through the magazine, and we got our novellas. So we got battle record for our Canoptek Reanimator, and that is it. Background for our Adeptus Sororitas, so all the different matriarchs, which these are the original 6 saints of the order. So Dominica and her followers. So you got Lucia, Catherine, Sylvana, Mina, Alicia, and Arabella. Order of the Sacred Rose background, and Evon Chalice. Probably my second favourite of the orders. I did like the guide Duncan Rhodes did in the White Dwarf, where they had the 3-part White Dwarf Codex for Battle Sisters. They had the background, the rules, and then they had a special hobby section, which is quite nice. I still have those issues tucked away. But I believe they are available if you have Warhammer Plus. They are on the I've forgotten the word. Basically the backlog library sort of thing of all the older issues. So moving on, we've got our build guides. So our Scorpic Lord. I would suggest leaving a lot of the components separate, especially if you want to reach all the details. Actually, looking at it, you might be able to get away with leaving the sword arm off and then putting it in at a later date. If you cut the peg off, it should just hopefully sit in and glue in place, especially if you use a bit of super glue. Just hold it in place. But yeah, the gun arm can probably stay on, but leave the sword arm off. Claw arm again, can leave it off, but it's up to you. Plasmancer, he will be difficult to paint if you want to get to all the details. I think what I did was I left both halves of the body separate, glued the front piece here onto the torso and the head, painted that as one piece, and then painted the 2 halves of the body as one piece. And there's our Crypto Thralls, so they're fairly easy. If you want to, you can leave the halves of the torso off and reach all the details, but it's not essential, as you're going to be covering them up with the armor panels. And there we have our Reanimator. So we've got some nice details on this guy. When I built mine, I believe I left the two halves of the legs as one piece, built this up as one piece, painted that, then painted this, pushed it all together in the end. I did glue these arm panels on top of the leg sections, and then you can glue it down to the base. It's actually fairly flexible, that you can glue it to the base and then prise it open enough just to slot that body in and close it all together. You just have to be careful making sure you don't get too much paint on the pegs and the holes. So painting Necrons, I will not be using this paint guide as I am painting mine in a different dynasty. But if you are following this guide, here we have it. So our usual method: 3 coats of Runelord Brass, Cryptic Armor Shade Gloss, picking out black details with Abaddon Black, picking out silver details, Lead Belcher, certain armor plates, face plates, and regalia with Canoptic Alloy, glowy areas of Corax White, and stone areas of Corax White, corn red on the destroyed Admech fist on the floor, like our flesh on our skulls, and we're washing that all with Agric Surfshade, like some flesh shade on all our Canoptic Alloy areas, non-oil on our silver areas and our red, and on the very deep recesses of the torsos. Excuse me. Then we are picking out Stormhost Silver on all our edges and dry brushing in certain places. Picking out all our silver and Canoptic Alloy details. And then finally we are basing with Astrogranite and non-oil. Now you have your finished models. Like I said, mine will be done differently to this. I'll be priming them all with silver, picking out a lot of green detail on this guy. Definitely doing it much different to my first one that I did. But yeah, definitely going for the classic Saltec look. Rules-wise, we have just one rule, which is the Canoptic Reanimator itself, as he is featured in the mission, which is all about using the Reanimator to make the best use out of your Necron warriors. So we have Technomancer, Canoptic Reanimator, 10 warriors, 3 scarabs, and a spider, Canoness, Repentia Superior, 7 sisters, 3 seraphim, 2 Repentias, 2 Archiflagellants, and the Penitent Engine. So it's a sisters' forces against the Necrons. We have 2 battle mats, 2 objectives, and you are free to set terrain up as you see fit. Quick look into the future. So we have another paint issue in 51. So Dawnstone and Pallid Witch Flesh. So this will be highlighting our bones and all our black details. We do get more Necron data sheets. So I think we get it all for the Royal Court. So all the models we got in this issue but haven't got the rules for, we get in the next issue. That's cool. Then issues 51, 52 and 53 is the Triac Stalker Part 1 and 2. So this is going to be the biggest model I think we get on the Necron side. It's a truly massive machine. Never had one, but I've actually ordered myself a spare because I've always wanted one. It is a pretty nice model. And luckily there are still galleries online showing the original Saltec schemes that I'll be copying. So there's going to be plenty of greens and edge highlighting on this guy. There we go. Excuse me. Right, moving on. We have a Novella. Slight damage on the case, but that's nothing too bad to worry about. So I'll bring in my knife just to help open it. Like so. And here we have our special. So this is a special sent out to subscribers. You have the option of not having it, but I thought I need some more books in my library, and I missed out on the Mortal Realm ones. But we got nice feeling on the cover. It's all embossed with Warhammer Imperium and the titles and the author's name. Just the same on both sides. Books slide out pretty nicely. No blurb on the back though, so we have to look on the inside, and we've got the green continuing on the inside there, so all the pages are lined with green. So do we have a short blurb about what the story's about? Not really, so it is just diving straight into it. So here we got Canoness there, so it's going to be Sisters of Battle. And most likely against the Necrons. Yep, Lichguard, Triumph Praetorians. So yes, we are going to be seeing some Sisters on Necron action there. And these do look quite nice little short stories. Chapter 5, Chapter 7. So looks like each is only 11 chapters long for the first one. So you've been writing for Games Workshop since 2017. So this is actually the first books I've actually got by Tom. So it'll be quite nice. And this one, oh, we've got an epilogue. But it's 10, with the epilogue, 11 chapters as well. So, quite nice books. Again, we are focusing on the Basilica of St. Marcius, so we're going to be looking at, Sisters of Battle and Necrons, possibly maybe seeing some Space Marines at some point, I wouldn't be surprised. But this does tie in nicely to the missions we are currently playing. Quite nice. Once I read these, I'll let people know what the story's like. Try not to do too much detail in way of spoiling, but I will definitely give you my thoughts on them at a later date. And then we can put them back in the slipcase like so. And there we go. Alright, I'll bring everything in then for a final shot and final thoughts. Well, there we have it. That is delivery 13, and it is definitely not unlucky. It's an amazing delivery. We get some of the best models in the collection in this single delivery. We get all the cool new units for Sisters of Battle, so plenty of models there. We got the awesome Royal Court Frame H from Indomitus, and we get a piece of terrain plus 2 new paints. I've seen people saying, wondering about getting paints and having duplicates, and I will tell you now, having spare pots is never a bad thing. So pick up paints as and when you can find them. I picked up a bunch back in April time, I think it was, where for over 10 years, only Games Workshop supplier has decided to cancel their contract after the whole COVID pandemic, and they sold off a lot of paints cheap, and I managed to pick up quite a good few. But yes, multiple paints is not a bad thing. I've several times ran out of a certain colour and found that I have none in stock, and I've even had to wait on occasion nearly a week before I could actually go and get any replacement paint. But there we have it. So delivery 13, I'd think this is definitely a 10 out of 2. Yes, I'm only rating it 10 out of 2 because it is 5 times more awesome than it actually looks. The only downside would be if you are not a big reader, the books, but this is a opt-out special, so if you've opted out, you wouldn't have got this. I've seen a lot of people getting their issues as far back as Friday last week. Because of the actual added book, mine was delayed a bit longer, but I think these will be quite nice. I'm gathering a small library next to my paint desk, so I've got some reading material if I do kind of get a little bored of my painting. But at the moment, I'm enjoying my painting. I'm working on some Chaos Space Marines, some of which are from the Imperium Premium Pack. There is a short video of that on this channel, should I say? Not my channel, this channel? Yes, channel. Yes, short video on here, and of course check my Instagram where I'll be sharing pictures every day, near enough, when I finished or made progress on certain projects. Finally, I would like to thank you all for watching. If you don't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow, and there will be plenty of new content coming. I'll be probably doing a separate video because I don't want to make this any longer than it already is. But there is going to be some awesome projects coming soon. For project news, do follow me on my Buy Me a Coffee or my Facebook page. There will be shared links there 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and occasionally a special bonus episode, issue, post, thing. Yes. So do check my Buy Me a Coffee, my Facebook page, my Instagram, and of course don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more mad content. So I've blabbered on long enough, and I think you'd like to get back to your own lives. Again, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.